Hello everyone, this is Blender Guppy. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can easily select the faces of the randomized or the faces of the mesh or the randomized mesh in order for you to use the random operators again, either on the source mesh or on the randomized result like this one. So let's just set this up, X, Y, and Z. And let's try control panels and clip center to clip the center line. Okay, increase the resolution or the cut. So this just for example. Let's try this one. So there are two commands that I want you to get familiar with, and that is going to face selection mode by pressing number 3, Shift G, and we have Coplanar, and that selects all the faces that have the same normal height as this one. So they are coplanar, meaning they exist in the same plane. So for example, if I raise this up and select coplanar, you can see that this is not being selected unless I use the redo panel. After you've used the command, you can access the redo panel, F9, and increase the threshold. Then you can get this face here. 0.1. Default value is somewhere around 0.001. Okay. You can access that using Shift G. And then another one is the linked flat faces. And I've set it at my quick favorites. And you can do that. You can find it in select linked, linked flat faces, select linked flat faces right here. This has to be in edit mode. You can see that this changes when you go to object mode. If you tab and go to edit mode, you can see that this changes to reflect the menus for the edit mode of the object. Okay, so go to select linked and linked flat faces. You can assign a shortcut or assign it to quick favorites. You can see that it's removed from quick favorites because I have already assigned it. And when I press Q, I have linked flat faces here. Okay, so what this does is the result of loop extrude and random panels are separate islands unless you use merge by distance. And by default, the result is if you press L, if you hover around an island or face island and press L, or select an element and press Ctrl L, you can select the whole island. You can either delete it or manipulate it if you want. So by default, these are islands. So what the linked flat faces does is select all the faces that are the same plane as this one here. And for example, if I raise this one and use the link flat faces on this face here, Q, you can see that it stops right here. It can't continue on this part here because this one is raised. So this is the result of our island here, of our random panel operator. So if we use link flat faces, you can see that it only selected the top faces and not the side faces, which we do not want. So for example, to let you select, instead of just manually selecting this, like that, or with circle select, pressing C. You can just uh, to select all of these faces here which have the same plane, Shift G and Coplanar, or pick a face on the island you want selected, and Q, link flat faces. So it's you can use link flat faces to be selective. Uh, Coplanar if you want all of it. Okay, let's change to loop extrude on. Okay, so for example, if I pick a loop extrusion, oops, I did not maintain the quad structure. Let's do that again. So I'll make another video for the limited dissolve on why it's here exactly. So let's just focus on the selection method on this video. So toggling this off and repeating the operation. So I have this. So coplanar, and you can see that there are faces that have there are face islands which has different planes. To include those, again, after using the operation, just increase the threshold like that. Shift Z to go to wireframe view and X-ray, and you can see the result. And then I can use the random panels. I'm going to press Control as I press on the button to reset the subdivision to 0, and then use this. Use the subdivision. So that's how you can layer the effects by quickly selecting the face islands. So Coplanar makes it easier to select the faces and avoid selecting these thin faces here, which we don't want. And again, link flat faces for you to be selective. So selecting the islands that you want affected, and then Q, link flat faces, and using the random any of the random loop random operators. Okay, so this is and it can also work like this, multiple selections on different planes. So this top here has a different plane. It's facing the z-axis, and this is facing the y-axis. This is positive z-axis, and this is positive y-axis. So for example, if I select a face here and select a face here, and then use coplanar, so 0.001, so that's the original selection, and then 0.1, and covers everything. So remember that right here in usage info, you can see that be careful when using high resolution face selections. Most operators run recursively or repeatedly. It can run out of memory and take a long time to compute or freeze Blender. So essentially, this is too much faces, especially when using it for random loop extrude and random panels. So before using it, you must set the base cuts to 0, and then experiment with lower subdivision to see if um, it can still take it. And then based on your machine, I think, and um, um, if you think it can still go a higher subdivision, then increase the cuts if you want. Okay, so That works for coplanar. For selective method, link flat faces, you can also do that with different plane selections, link flat faces. Okay. Now let's try it for with cursor selected. Now let's try it with cylinder. Okay. And relax this and incorporate a mirror. So I say, okay, auto smooth and random loop extrude. Okay, let's try random loop extrude and lower this increase the subdivision to 1 and use the limited dissolve. Um, not, let's just increase this. Increase cut smooth to 0.5 and okay, let's maintain the uh quad structure for now and get rid of the overlaps. Okay, we have the quad structure. Okay, so coplanar doesn't work here that much. Okay, it does. Actually does. Okay, but if you increase the threshold, this will also look at that affect other planes. So using coplanar for this situation for curves is not exactly that good. So what we can do instead is link flat faces and increase the sharpness. You can see that it covered the entire island. Okay. Link flat faces. So instead of just manually selecting this like that, the top faces, it can take a long time. So you can just select one face from an island. So to check the island, you can use L like before. Press L, hover on a face or any of the element. For example, if you're in face selection mode, hover on a face. If you're in edge selection mode, hover on an edge and uh, oh, it's been changed. Whether you are in vertex, edge, or face mode, you can just hover on a face or any of the elements and check out the island by highlighting it or selecting it by pressing L. So that's the island. So we don't want these side faces here. Instead, we just want the top faces affected. So um, select the face on the islands that you want affected and link flat faces. Okay. And then go to object mode and use your random operators. I'll also create another video for the presets. The presets here does not come with the add-on. This is only used for saving and removing. You have to create the presets yourselves. So for example, if I use this and press plus, it will allow me to name that preset. So if I name it and press OK, um, you can select it here. I'll do a separate video for that. So that's how you select the faces on curved or circular surface, linked flat faces. So that's what you see in my video. That's how I quickly select the faces. So Let's just delete this. And for example, um, reduce it to zero, reduce this to 0. For example, I'm working like that and I have limited dissolve on. Uh, I usually have this toggle turned on, even if I'm working with angular surfaces, because I want my topology to be not as evenly spaced when I'm not using limited dissolve. So for example, I have the quad structure maintained. So this is evenly spaced. So most of the time I don't want that. So I just use, but this is mainly used for curved surfaces to maintain the smooth look of the faces. And that will be for another video. So I'm just gonna use limited dissolve. And another use for this is, this allows me to just, so I pick this loop result here, and then coplanar. This selects, oops, 0.001, and just slowly increase it. Okay, just this face is here, and then quad slice. This is different from what you have. Um, I will pass the update as soon as I finish the PDF guide. Okay, so what's different here is that in your version, this is your version here. The islands basically share cuts with each other, but in the new version, this is off by default. The islands only cut themselves. So, for example, here, quad slice, these islands only cut themselves, but if I use share cuts, you can see that this line cuts here, and this line here cuts here. Okay, coplanar, quad slice, turn this off, add link faces. Okay, and then select the face again. So these faces have been quadded, and quads, oops, length flat, oh, coplanar, because I want all of them affected. So if I want just a few elements selected, I'll just use the length flat faces method. But in this scenario, I want them all affected. Okay, loop extrude. I'm gonna reduce the base cuts to somewhere like 1, and then build up from that. Okay, so like this. I'm gonna use this 0.001 and Control C. Copy this to the other 0.01. Control C, Control V, Control V. So to avoid the uh, overlaps with the faces having the same plane, and this is how they look. So let's increase the depth, or use the uh, this one here, the inset seed, to randomize their height, or you can just manually use this. The previous video explains the controls in the redo panel, and also the PDF guide has the controls you can use in the redo panel, like the control middle mouse roll up and down to change the values, and using the slide method, which I don't recommend if the the operation is too slow. Okay, so we've stacked another random loop extrude from um, random loop extrude resolve with 3 loop objects from the random loop resolve that we've added earlier. So this one here, I think this is the cube, and we can also just use the panels for that to create something from underneath. Okay, But for random panels, I usually just leave limited dissolve off unless I want the uneven quad structure like I did before. So for this one, select coplanar and quad slice tangent and coplanar again. Go to object mode and use the okay. Let's not use the control middle mouse button here. Instead, go directly to 0, manually input that. I'm not I'm not really creating something. I'm just demonstrating how you can use the selection methods. Okay, and there we go. So coplanar is especially useful for this method here. So if you forgot to set the limited dissolve, just select everything or select an island that you want affected only by using the L to select the island, hovering on the faces. Control L is used to select the island if you have this if you have selections. Control L and L is for just hovering, selecting these linked faces of the face underneath the mouse. Okay, but I want everything affected. If you forgot to set the limited dissolve, select everything. For example, an X and then limited dissolve. F9. So much like the random operators, the default value is 5 degrees. The limit is normal. Uh, just use normal. All boundaries. What's this? Okay, it's causing a this geometric distortion on this. So let's just turn this off. For example, 12.5. Okay, let's just use 5 degrees. And then, so the unevenness has been gone, but these are all ingons. A coplanar. Increase the threshold. Always check how many faces you have because this quad slice is also quad grid project is also affected by how many faces you've got, and it can also slow down. Tangent, okay, those are have been quadded. Coplanar, and then random loop extrude. Let's use extrusion instead of the panels, and then it's this. Let's try and increase this. Okay, see that's how you can use the selection method to create the layering effect. So again, in edit mode, Shift G for coplanar, and then select linked, right click, and assign to quick favorites. Quick favorites by default, if you haven't touched the hotkeys, is in Q. So you can see here where's the linked path faces. The quick favorites is different in object and edit mode. So go to edit mode, and if you press Q, all the edit mode commands are here. Link flat faces is here. Okay. And we have the for selecting the islands. So for example, if you don't like a particular island, for example, and the operation is finished, just press just use the L method or control L method at key to select the entire island, and XF, that is X is the hotkey for delete, and F is the hotkey for faces. You can see the F underlined here. XF. Okay. So that's how you can um, delete the islands that you don't want. And so for example, this is squatted. Oops. and I want this pulled up, link flood faces, Alt S, so just like that. Okay, and I think that's about it. Those are the quick selection method. Coplanar, select linked faces, linked flat faces, and the select linked faces, select islands, I mean. So that's L. And if you have a selection on the island, you can press Control L. Okay. And for the next video, I'm going to explain the limited dissolve method, or toggle, which is in random loop extrude and in random panels, and also in some of the operators here. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something. Make sure to use the comment section if you have any questions, and also the links in the description of the video. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.